Board. November monthly meeting is November 17, time 5 p.m. We call this meeting to order. Reading of the appeal statement, Attorney Brazil.
Good evening. Pursuant to the provisions of Section 2.68.030 of the Metropolitan Code of Laws, please take notice that decisions of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County Community Review Board may be appealed to the Chancery Court of Davidson County for review under a common law writ of certiorari. Any appeal must be filed within 60 days after entry of a final decision by the Board. Any person or other entity considering an appeal should consult with an attorney to ensure that time and procedural requirements are met.
Okay, do we have a quorum?
We do have a quorum.
Get a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, it's passed. Chair remarks. It looked like this year is going out with a bang. And so what do you mean by that? We had a police shooting. And I think they had the DA, FBI, everybody there on the scene to investigate. And from my understanding, it was supposed to be ruled a good shooting. But in hindsight, you always have a gray area. You know, could something else be done? I was questioning about the council that we have when we have psych people. And my understanding, they have them on the first shift and the second shift, but not on the third shift. And I don't know how they came back to make that selection, unless they use some kind of data to prove that. But from my understanding, the best shift will be that second shift and third shift, because that shooting took place the third shift, towards the end of that third shift. And like I said, to me, it was a gray area. I don't know how many shots was fired, but I'm interested to know. Your life in danger and somebody make a move, you have no choice but to protect yourself. But at the same time, sometimes there's other things you can do instead of shooting. You know, people that talk to me about it, they say, well, he said he had a gun, he went in, he's going to do this, he's going to do that. You know, you just have a split second to make a decision and hope that you make the right decision. My concern is the arrival of the officer on the scene, and what I saw on television, how he had his car parked, you know, and I felt myself what I would have done, and it would not have been parked in the direction where his would have been parked. You got an engine in that car. If he's firing towards you, you got that engine mostly to protect you. And then if you're going to fire back at someone, you give them a less target to fire at. I would think so. I would. I put it this way, I would. I wouldn't be standing up. I'd be hiding behind the car, you know, firing off some rounds, you know. But hindsight is a different thing, you know. But they look at it as a good shooting, you know. But there are always some improvement that can be made on some of these shootings, you know, and it comes in your training that you do. And they got good training at the training academy. I would not knock that. And normally, once they analyze those situations, if they see something that can be done differently, they try to include in training to try to help prevent some of these things, you know. But when you get a call, so the man got a gun, he got mental issues, you know, you've got a serious situation there, because you don't know what you're getting yourself exactly until you just know he's mental. You don't know what he's capable of doing. And I think That's how they responded. I think both officers that was on the scene got 3-year experience. They call it, I guess they call it seasonal, but I don't. I believe if you had 10 years, or maybe a little less, you might would have made a different decision, you know. But that just depends on the individual, you know. You know, you want to survive. You want to go home too, to your family. But this hindsight, though, you know, and you try to improve your trainings where you don't have to get yourself in a situation again. But number one thing, if you ain't got no counsel on that third shift, that's something that need to be considered. You know, that's, you know, if you got something you can move from the first shift to the third shift, you know, would be great. If they can't work third shift, they probably don't need the job. You know, and you got other people looking for jobs, you know, as well. But I don't want to get off into that. I want to prepare us for the near future. We got an election we need to do, and we don't have that many people. And I think, if I'm correct, I said last month you can start sending email in and say if you're interested in running for office. I hadn't seen anything, but you still have time. I was wanting to do an election in December, but if I saw an email that said the election is December 15th, I'm not the election, but the executive board, the board meeting is 15th of December. Is that correct?
No, the meeting is on the 15th because the next week is the week of Christmas. So I didn't want to have a meeting on the 22nd, and so our meeting is just really 3 weeks from now. So it's on the 15th, unless there's another. Okay, go ahead, Heather.
Sorry, I was just going to note, I will be in New York on the 15th, just for quorum purposes for the EC meeting.
So, yeah, I mean, the only thing is a lot of different departments are also rescheduling their meetings. And so the 15th was available, just like today. I mean, we could still utilize this space. It's not a problem if they have it available, if you guys want to choose a different day. But I will tell you that I won't be in the office the week of Christmas or the week after. So.
I'll be good here.
I have to get my mind ready for 2026.
So what I'm trying to find out, so then we probably won't have the election in December, but around in January. But I want a lot of people enough time, if they're interested in run for office, they can send in, you know, give them enough time to send in the email.
Just for clarity purpose, when you say run for election, are you talking about this board right here?
This board for different positions.
For the different positions?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, what was the date? Was it supposed to be in December that we do that?
We was under the impression that we was going to have it in December.
Oh, okay.
But as it look now.
But do we have to do that? Do we have to conduct that business in the executive committee meeting, or can we just discuss it on the floor?
Whatever you feel.
Oh, okay. I'm just, just for clarity, I didn't know.
I mean, I just want everybody to make sure they have enough time.
If they're interested. Can they do a nomination of them? Like, can they put theirs in advance and then we present them?
Send an email.
Okay.
I just want to make sure it's clear to each individual. I don't want nobody to say, well, hey, Holloway didn't let me do this. Holloway don't know whether he's going to be here or not.
Yeah, and on that note, I did reach out to the mayor's office to see if they had any updates, and they told me that they had applicants, but they haven't made any decisions yet. So they are aware that that was the week before last. Let me see. I think I have it in here. Hold on. I want to say it was early last week.
Well, we just make it clear. If it's not me, I'm still supportive of this board. You know, do whatever I can, and I think it's important for this board to survive because the people in the community voted for it. And it's an independent decision made on complaints that they have called in on, and they feel comfortable. on your results, your investigation, other than the police department, you know. Some have had bad experience and some have had decent experience, but they feel more comfortable that if you gave a decision about their complaint, more so than the police department. And so that's my major concern, that, you know, that the board, and like I told the mayor, you know, this board is very sensitive to the community. They voted for it, and they would like it for it to continue, and we would like to see it continue the best we can.
Yeah, it was sometime last week. I can't say it. Come on in. Okay.
Yeah, I came in early today and I had to go by her office and talk with her about something. But anyway, we'll move on, and because it look like our agenda is a little bit longer than last month's agenda. So do we have any public comments? Okay, if we get some emails on, please let me know. Executive Director report.
Okay. The first thing I wanted to talk about, just like I said, that we are still waiting for the mayor's office related to board appointments. When I spoke to Director Buggs, she let me know that they had some people who applied, even people from the board who applied. It wasn't a lot of people, by the way, and that board members have, 60 days to continue to serve, and so she hadn't heard of the mayor's selection at this point. And so once we get that information, I'll make certain that the board members are notified. And so, Chair Holloway, we know that you applied, and so we'll see. I'm hoping that things go the way that you want them to go, and we'll see what happens next. I don't really have. Well, I'm just going to leave it at that. Okay. So that happened, and then, of course, I have a meeting with the mayor's office monthly with Kristen Wilson, who is the liaison for the mayor's office. So I meet with her. I met with her in the month of October before I went to NACO. We also have, we reposted the compliance monitors. I mean, we really need some additional help in that regard, and hopefully find people who have some experience to do this work. And it was reported today that there was 120 applications received. That's a lot. Now, I don't know if all of those, that's how many applications they received. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's how many people will move forward and who are qualified, who meet the minimum qualifications. But they did receive 120 applications. My fingers are crossed and everything. And prayers up that we would.
What kind of qualifications, as far as education-wise, work experience?
Hold on, let me pull, I can give you that information. Can you pull that up for me? Can you pull up the qualifications for the compliance monitor position? Okay, thank you. Well, I'll get that to you in a second.
What kind of salary pay is it?
I don't
You can't discuss that.
I know I can. I'm going to tell you in a second. I just don't have it in front of me. But yeah, I'll make certain.
It was 80,000.
Is it 80? 75 is the starting salary. I think it's a competitive salary.
It is.
Based on, the information that I learned and gleaned from other cities, I think it's a competitive salary. I think that the benefit package is great, as well as just working with us at the NCRP. I'm just kidding.
That sounds like more money than a recruit coming out of the academy.
So some of the I think that you do have to have some experience. We have. It's important to have some experience, and and the experience doesn't have to be exactly related to investigations, but there's got to be some critical thinking skills and some report writing, and we talked about that. Some analytical ability, some attention to detail. Because this is not, there's a lot of work in these that needs to happen. So, is that old? Yeah, what is this? Oh, okay, they didn't change. Okay. No, go down some. Okay, minimum qualifications, a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, journalism, public policy, public administration, auditing, psychology, political science, 3 professional years in auditing, investigation, compliance, or a related field. And then there could be some experience in lieu of education. Background check required, must sign department confidentiality agreements, and then it goes on and on.
Where you gonna get somebody like that?
They're applying.
We're applying, okay. You know, you'd be surprised though that applying that really don't have the qualification. You had to check on them because we've had people apply for the police department, and when they dug down in the background on them, it did not add up, and they had to get the toothbrush and everything and leave. You know,
Okay.
if people think they can get back with it, they will. And that's why background check makes a big difference.
Well, the background check is, we do that through the Human Resources Department, and they use a company, so I don't know, so we get that information.
We've hired officers on the police department here, left other police department, had a cloud over their head,
Right.
but apparently they didn't check. And when it came here, everything exploded. They said, we didn't know that.
Well, we do our own little cursory background check in the office, just some, on public websites and things of that nature. We've had some issues with some of the applicants ourselves, and we just moved on and left that.
Well, the reason why I asked, I run across people all the time at the church and other community meetings and stuff, and some with doctoral degrees, master degrees, and all that kind of stuff like that, and if they're in the process of looking for something, I can send. I wouldn't send them with nickels or anything like that, and not because if I send them to you, if they don't qualify, they just don't qualify. It used to be a time if somebody put my name on a police application, they get hired. But you better not do that now. You definitely won't get hired. But anyway,
Yeah.
you continue your report, though. I'm sorry, y'all.
It's just important that we have people who have some skill sets. We spend a lot of time trying to train people up, and either you have the ability to do investigations and this type of work, or you don't. And because it is a lot of going through this information and then knowing how to put it in a report and decipher what's, where there might be discrepancies and all that. It's not something that, some of it I can't teach you. Some of it you just have to know, like intuitively. So, yeah, that's how that works.
What if we had an officer, he just been retired 2 years, and he was on the cold case?
What? I don't know. I guess it could be. I forgot what the recommendation is in the law. I think you have to be, gone for 12 months?
At least 2
don't
years.
know.
I think at least 2 years. Anyway.
Okay, well, an application is open for everyone.
Okay, I just want to make sure before I start running off at the mouth.
Okay. This month, we had just 2 civilian complaints since our last board meeting in October. No commendations. We also haven't received any more responses related to the cases that we have sent to the chief's office. We haven't had any responses for this month thus far. There is a MOU agreement meeting, and I'm gonna let Frank talk about that in his in the board discussion, so I'm gonna skip over that. And we're gonna hear 2 cases today. We have 3 administrative closures. There's cases those are mostly cases that are pending litigation. And then budget season is just around the corner, and so I just, because I wanted you all to talk about this. This is kind of a segue into committee assignments, and so. We have talked about committee assignments for a while, and, and I know that we were like, let's wait until we get new people, if we do get new people. But just in case we don't, if there's no one rolling off, I still wanted to make those assignments. And so I just made the assignments today. So I want to talk about them really quick, and then if you guys have some questions about that. It looked like from the previous version of this committee assignments, it looked as if most people were on 2 committees. Some of these committees have not met, right? And then maybe some of them only need to meet once a quarter or biannually, and so it's not going to be a huge commitment. But so on rules and bylaws, I have Joe Brown.
Excuse me before you get started.
Okay.
Do I have a copy of that?
Not yet. I'll send you one.
I would like to have that before we get started.
Well, how would you get it?
I don't know.
Well, you're not going to be able to get it, Mr. Holloway, because I only have my copy. I can email you one if you have access to your email.
No, hey,
Can you please email him a copy of that? Okay.
I don't mean to be disrespectful, but I thought I had a copy somewhere, but I was trying to find it before I came. But
Well, I didn't send this to anyone
I had
except
an
for Katura
old copy.
and Frank, because we were talking about right before the meeting. So this was done right before the meeting.
Okay, no, let's
Are
proceed.
you ready? But she's going to send it to you, okay?
Let's
So you can
proceed.
get it. All
All
right.
right.
So on rules and bylaws, Joe Brown, Walter Holloway, and Sean Witzel. That didn't change. Okay, that's the same. Under the MOU, we have Heather Michelle and Mark Wynn. Nominations, Walter Holloway. Under training, education, and mediation, Mark Wynn, Alicia Haddock. Under budget, Walter Searcy. Communications and outreach, Alicia Haddock and Sean Witzel. That did not change. And ethics and compliance, Heather Michelle and Joe Brown. Ethics and compliance. So that is, everyone is on 2 committees. And, except for you. Yeah, I just put you on one.
And I
Now, if
thought
you
that-
want to be on another one, you can
Well, I thought
volunteer.
that I was
wanted-
on bylaws. Yeah.
You may have been, so I didn't say, I
Yeah.
can add you to bylaws, and you're
Yeah.
on both, you're on 2 committees.
That'd be
Okay.
fine.
I was going to give you that, but okay.
Yeah. Right.
Mr. Holloway, did you want to add something to this conversation?
I prefer to have had it before the meeting started.
All
But
right, well, I'm
since-
sorry.
Since we didn't, I had to deal with it. But,
Well, I didn't change yours. You were on, these are the same committees that you were already on
I know,
previously.
I
Okay.
understand. I don't want to be hard. I don't want to be difficult, you know. I just want to be exact and try to be prompt to the people on the board. You know, I don't want nobody to think we're trying to slight them or anything like that. We want to make sure everybody's clear what we're doing, you know.
Yeah, does anyone feel like that? Okay. If you are not happy with your board committee assignments, you can let me know and we can make some changes to you. Or if there was any concerns about what you're on. Did you have a question, Joe?
Keep in mind, it's just 7 of us.
Right.
We don't have the 11 people we had before. So we got to act like a family. We got to work together.
Right, and so there's 7 committees, and I mean, it's better to have more than one person on a committee. So it doesn't mean that we're going to have a huge amount of meetings, but I do think that the way that these committees are set up, it is to make certain that the board is successful, but also the agency is successful. And so all of these, where there's training, whether it's communications and outreach or ethics and compliance, rules and bylaws, MOU, we need your input, and we want you to be involved in this. And so it keeps our foundation strong, and it also continues to help institutionalize this department. Any other questions on that? All right, and moving along. So budget season is just around the corner. It's time to have a meeting with the budget committee to start the budget discussions. If whoever wants to volunteer, Mr. Searcy's the only one on there. So we have a meeting scheduled for that, Tuesday, December the 9th. If you don't have anything, or we can, whatever your schedule looks like in December, we wanted to have an early meeting with, to talk about that. And if somebody else would like to be on the budget committee, you can let me know. You do? Okay. So that meeting is scheduled. We will schedule that meeting and add Joe to the meeting, to the budget. What time is convenient for you? Morning or afternoon?
It'll have to be afternoon, I would say. Joe, how about with you, 3 o'clock?
I think, let me get my,
Yeah.
pulled up, but I
Yeah.
think that should be good. It's my birthday, I was trying to remember.
It's your
Oh, wait a
birthday.
minute,
Well,
wait
we
a
don't
minute.
want to
We
have
don't
it on
have
your
to, yeah.
birthday.
We
Well,
don't
why
have to
don't
meet
we
on
do
your
this? Why
birthday.
don't we have our meeting
Walter,
and
Walter,
then,
at my age, I'm just happy to have it.
At any point. Yeah, well, we're right there tit for tat.
Yeah, you're right about that.
but we can just send you the documents, Joe. This is just a kind of like a overview if you can't make it.
I'm good all afternoon. We got a Predators game that night.
Okay.
I'm good all afternoon.
You want to do it at 3, 2:30, 3? What time?
Well, if you have to come into town for what time does the hockey match
7.
start?
7.
7?
No,
That's
not
too-
a problem.
Yeah, okay.
2, 3, whatever.
What
most
time is
people-
good for you, Walter?
3 o'clock will work.
Okay, let's put down 3
3
o'clock.
o'clock's good with me.
Yeah, 'cause
All right.
I've got a.
It will probably
doctor's
last
appointment
less
early.
than an hour, about an hour maybe. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right, so I want to move right into community outreach and engagement. So we had our 2025 Fall Festival in Bordeaux at the Hartman Park. I'd say it was a huge success. There was over 150 attendees. So a big shout out to the Nashville Bordeaux community for their support. I also wanted to thank Second Harvest for their food boxes and snack kits. It was really great to have that. We had around 85 boxes from them, and then it was so many snack packs for children. So we were able to give them a swag bag and then also the snack pack. So it was really good. And, people took multiples of those. I also wanted to thank the community organizations and vendors, volunteers, the board members that were out there. And a huge thank you to our staff, because without them, we wouldn't be able to pull that off. It was a big event, and so the staff worked really, really hard. I wanted to give a special shout out to Ms. Robinson Cash. Thank you for always executing with excellence and bringing our services to the community of Nashville. And so I wanted to give her an opportunity to tell us about something that she's planning, which is a coat drive. And then she's also collaborating with a community organization for a turkey and food giveaway. So could you come and tell us a little bit about that? Thank you. Tell us about the coat drive and then the turkey and food giveaway.
Hello, everybody. I am D'Amica, the Nashville Community Review Board Community Engagement Outreach Coordinator. And so with not Second Harvest, with the Salvation Army, we usually give gifts. So this year they have an alternative to that. We're giving coats. So if you would like to participate in that, you can purchase a coat and then bring it to the office, and then we'll take it to the Salvation Army. The second thing is, what was it?
The coat,
Oh.
and the turkey and food giveaway.
No, sir, they have to be new. Yes.
Have to be new. Salvation Army is requiring that.
What's the deadline to get you those coats?
I think it's December 2nd is the date that is the deadline, because I think I'm going to give them on the 3rd. So the 2nd. And then with the organization, I'm going to say he told me, this is his word, he is a man of God who chosen to give up a career to help young people. So that's what he told me to say when I was asked. So that's what he said. And so it's their 10th annual giveaway where they give out, this year I'm going to say they'll give out 600 turkeys and they'll give out 1,200 meals. And it's Cooking with a Purpose, I think is the organization name. And so we'll be on Claiborne Street. 639 Claiborne Street. And so we'll be there. We'll have a table to give out information about the organization. And then we'll also, I will assist, and maybe some other people at the organization, you all can come out too, and we'll hand out turkeys to the community. They'll block off the street during that time, and so they'll be handing out turkeys, and then they'll be feeding. And they usually feed, I think he told me, 1,100 people.
Excuse me. And who you said, what's the guy's name?
I didn't say his name, but they call him Mr. 100 in the community.
Is he Hispanic? Yeah.
No, sir, he's black.
Black. Well, I saw something similar on television today, and they're doing basically the same thing, but it wasn't everything to do. They're gonna pass out turkeys, and then they're gonna feed people at the same time. So that's what I thought it was the same thing. Did you? Okay, I'm sorry.
I think these things are happening in all corners of the Davidson County, and so there's also Friends. I never get it right. Friends. How do you say it? It's like Thanksgiving, but Friendsgiving. Okay, Friendsgiving. That's happening as well. So if you guys are interested in that, I have all those listings as well. So if you want that information, I can share it with you. I know that the Human Relations Commission, that's what I was looking for. They're having a Friendsgiving on, it's the 20th? I believe it's on the 20th. It's on Thursday.
You said
And
friendship?
Friendsgiving.
No, it might be on Thursday. Is that the 9th? That's the 20th.
20th, yeah.
And so that is going to be at the, you have to register, they would prefer you to register. That's the Metro Human Relations Commission. And I think this is their second annual Friendsgiving, and it's at the Farmers Market. And we went last year, and they were using their campaign, Humans Over Hate. It was really great.
Yes, it was.
And they had all kind of great food there too, so. And so I think this year they have some speakers too, so I think it's gonna be really good.
And can I just say one other thing? Sure. I want to shout out to, I know board members come, but on this event at Hartman Park, shout out, and I know some of you had things to do, we talked, so I get that, but shout out to member Cersei, member Whitzel, and member Haddock for being at the Hartman Park Saturday. I appreciate y'all coming out supporting, so thank you.
I had my best friend from Memphis, a retired captain.
My question was about the coat drive. Are these for children, adults, or both?
Oh, I'm sorry for not letting you know. So it's all sizes. When we asked specifically, they would just say any sizes. So it can be from children, adult, babies, however many you choose to give, or whatever size you give, they'll take.
Also, I wanted to say, if you guys want to donate coats, you don't have to come all the way in. If you call us and say, we can come out and get them, you can do a drop-off. And so we have, and then we'll just come, like, you don't have to come all the way in, park. Just come, by the office, let us know.
Come in the office van?
What?
Come in the office van?
No, we don't have an office van, but since you're on the budget committee, we might be able to get us a van.
Oh, you're saying that you can come down and... Yes.
Yeah, I'm just saying, you just call us, and then we'll just come downstairs and grab it. You don't have to park and go through the garage and do all that.
Gotcha.
It makes it simpler. But as on the note that Mr. Cersei said, we are now renting vehicles and for these community events. And I'll just tell you, it's not an easy transition for that, because it's expensive, as well as it comes out of our budget. But what's important to note is we have a garage, right, in our location that we can park, but the vehicles never fit. They're too big. And so we end up renting a box truck or something like that, and then it won't fit in the garage, so we're having to leave it with all of our equipment somewhere. We risked it this time in front of the building, but it's really a delivery zone all the way up until Saturday. And NDOT, I'm telling you, they're giving tickets. I have tickets.
Let me tell you what you need. Let me tell you what you need to do on that. It's just like when the officers were required to stay inside the county, and they had marked unit, they would park it at a fire hall or a precinct and leave it and come back. So if you got a truck like that, you could park it at one of the precincts, they were close in the area.
Okay, well, I need to see if they will allow me to do that. Yeah.
If they don't, you let me know.
Oh, okay. So my point is, we need a van. We need one of those old school white, I'm not gonna say perp van, but a van. We need a van, and so, because every time we go to try to rent one, they're all rented. All they have are these box trucks, and our stuff fills it up. I mean, it does, but I think that we can, if we had a van, like a cargo van, it would work, and it would fit inside the garage.
And you could, North Precinct would be a good area where you could leave it parked, and probably one of the other. You talk to the chief of police.
Yeah, I guess I do.
You got a
need to talk
good
to the
report,
chief of
right?
police.
Ask them for a favor. There's nothing big to ask for. It ain't gonna cost them anything, you know.
Try Commander Laura.
Yeah, that's right, Commander Lara. I didn't get a chance to go to the open house. They had one. I don't know if you all knew, but I am going to call and see if I can get a, and maybe set up a time for all of us to go, that we all can go and do a walkthrough and check out the new digs. Mr. Searcy?
Couple of things. One is that I would go ahead and pursue the donated vehicle route, because the last time we talked with the mayor about that, he was chagrined by the fact that we were told that. And so I would go back and try to get that done again and actually get that vehicle identified. And then if they turn us down, bureaucratically turn us down, we can then go back to the mayor and say, hey, we've got somebody who wants to give us this vehicle, and your people are still stonewalling and so on.
Okay, I appreciate that. I will. That's in our, when you come to our meeting on the 9th, we will have a vehicle identified.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Very good.
yeah.
Yeah. Second thing is, where are we meeting?
We're meeting at our office.
At your office?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
You're welcome. And so because of the amount of community engagement that we have, especially over this last year, we have been using our own vehicles for the most part, 2 or 3 vehicles. But when we have those big events where there's, we expect 100 to 200 people, we take all of our supplies out there, and it's a lot of stuff that we have. So that'll be great to have our own vehicle. And then there's just 2 quick things. The NCRB research team is finalizing our annual use of force report, and we'll discuss that draft with the board at its December's meeting. And so after we discuss it, we'll have someone from our senior researcher come and talk about the use of force report, her methodology, what some of the discoveries, and then we'll send it out to you all. And then hopefully in January, we'll have our community feedback session where we invite the community to take part in giving us some feedback on the report, just like we did with the sexual misconduct report. And we're working on that. They're finishing it up. We just got some, I forgot that there's a law had passed with the Metro Council, an ordinance related to uses of force. And so the police department quarterly sends them a report on uses of force. And so I asked them to send those reports to us, and they did. And so she's tweaking some things. That information will be shared with you all in December. And so remember, we have 2 annual reports so far. One is the use of force, and then a traffic report. Those are going to be our pretty staple annual reports. And then we'll have other policy advisory reports. We're working on some of those now. And so we will pull some of you committee members in so that we can talk about. I think it's important that we engage, look at some complaints, see where there's patterns and practices, and then also see where we can add value, these conversations with the public as well. So that's happening. And then training and development. So, the leadership at our office is always looking for new trainings. We're committed to providing trainings for our staff members. And so some of our staff members went to NACO's 2026 annual conference, which was held in Minneapolis. It was, I was, of course, on the annual committee. I was co-chair for the annual committee. I thought it was a magnificent time. I think people felt really energized because, of course, with the DOJ rolling back a lot of consent decrees, some people kind of felt defeated. I'm just going to be honest with you, especially in cities like Minneapolis, some cities like Louisville, and I'll name a few others, but in Tucson, and in what's the other city in Arizona? Phoenix. And so, so those leaders were there, and a lot of their staff members. I was on a couple panels, but one of them was about preemption, and on that particular panel, and then of course, let me just say this: in Miami, in the state of Florida, they preempted it. You can't have any oversight. And so that happened in Miami-Dade County. And so the panel that I was on was leaders from Miami, from Phoenix, and then someone from Chicago. And so it was just a lot of, I think people felt a lot of relief to be around other practitioners. And Heather, you can talk about your experience. That would be great. Board member Michelle was there as well.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to also just give you a shout out. I was able to sit in some of those panels, and I have to say it was impressive to see Director Fitchard up on the national level really advocating for the work and representing us well. It was a great benefit to be there as a board member and see other boards across the country and what they were working on and the overlap and the differences. It was really eye-opening, and I gained a lot of perspective, so I'm grateful to have had the opportunity to go. And would encourage anyone in the future, if you have the chance to go to one of these NACOL board or NACOL conferences, to do so. I gained a lot of perspective and was really grateful.
Appreciate that.
What you find out in a lot of these areas, sometimes you have a similar problem going in the same area, and so you want to find out how do they deal with it. I was at a meeting in Europe, in Manchester, England, and we were discussing some of the issues they was having there. And I was just attending the workshop, but I ended up being one of the spokesmen, explaining how we dealt with the problem here in Nashville and things that they could do. And one of the problems they was having, they didn't have to pay their own dues. Their department paid their dues. And I told them that's the first mistake. You pay your own dues, you write your own ticket, you be your own man. But when you collect the money from somebody else, then they control your voice, And so, but like I said, you have similar problems in different states when you come together like that. Something that you may not be doing that they doing is good ideas. It's a good thing that y'all did go attend.
Thank you. I will say that NACOL is not only in the United States; it is across the world. We had representation there from Colombia. We had South America, and we also had like Sierra Leone. There were just so many different, perspectives on how. I can't imagine what it is to do police accountability work in Colombia or in Sierra Leone. But meeting with those practitioners has been, it really is eye-opening on what we think is, one like some of the things that we are experiencing that we look as negatives. Their experiences are, either more challenging, than I could ever imagine. So, and then of course Canada was there as well.
Well, in some cases, though, too, you're comparing a military with police.
True. That's true. Yeah. And so, that's such a good point, which leads me to, well, never mind, I'm going to leave that alone. That might be a longer discussion. But, when I think about what's happening in Nashville and some of the things that are happening on the federal and the federal and the state level, and we may not have as much influence there, but I think that we all are here because we want to see our police department thrive. But in that, there's room for improvement. And so I think that this allowed us to hear what was going on in other cities and then be able to either emulate that. And what people don't know is a lot of agencies use our information for their own cities. And so Nashville has become a model of police accountability. And so I'm very happy about that. And then also we met and spent some time with other practitioners from the state of Tennessee. And so Knoxville was represented there. I don't know what's going on with Chattanooga. I need to check into that. And of course, you know, Memphis is having their own set of struggles. But it is good. I think it will be good for us to get together and do a roundtable and talk about that. One of the things I wanted to add, and this is separate from that, is we're going to host a town hall here in April. And so I wanted you guys to save the date for that. That is April the 4th, Saturday, April the 4th, 2026. And so I have talked to some community leaders, and I'm going to reach out to some more. And I just want to say one thing to the community, because for those who are listening, I just appreciate them giving me a lot of grace over these last few months, and about 6 months, because I haven't really been as connected in community events as I normally am, in community, you know, with leadership and all that, because I've been really focusing on making certain that our internal structures are running properly. You know, because from transitioning from a COB to a CRB, trying to get an MOU and not having one for a whole year, you know, trying to, you know, there's so many moving parts. And as you saw, when we did the presentation, you all saw how we have tried to make certain that our agency is running top tier and in excellence because of those national recognition, as well as just making certain that we're doing the work in excellence. And so I just am thankful for them. Even if they're supporting me from afar, I appreciate it. I just have been really, really bogged down and focused on the internal structures, and I think that we are at a really good place now. And so I need to get back connected with our community in a way that I think brings their voices to the table and their concerns. And so that's all I really have.
What you call that is teamwork.
Yes.
You have to designate authority. You got a good team, good staff working with you.
Yeah. And I appreciate that. And I have delegated. Have I delegated? Okay.
She has delegated.
I have delegated. Joe Brown said, you need to delegate. I said, okay, I'm a delegate. And so I think that the leadership team that we have built out has done some tremendous work internally. And it's, you know, I feel really safe in being able to hand off some of this work to them. And it's been working really well. NACO's 2026 annual conference will be held in Louisville, Kentucky. So if any of you all are interested, let me know, and we can all just rent one of those big old box vans and ride up there. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, that's in. So it's in Louisville. I think it's going to be in November of next year. So just so that you know, that's what they're working on currently. And so we'll see what they appoint me. I hope they don't appoint me to the annual conference. No, I'm just kidding. That was a lot of work, I'm telling you. I was new too. I was like, that's a lot. So anyway, that concludes my annual report. And so if you have any questions, let me know.
Okay, Boardman Woods.
As someone who was born and raised in Kentucky, you got to call it Louisville.
Oh, not Louisville. Louisville. Okay. I said Louisville.
Are there any more comments? Okay, get a motion to accept the report as presented.
So moved.
Get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion passes. Let's go with the next item on the agenda. Board discussion of the MOU update.
Thank you, Chair. By way of update, our MOU was executed with a provision. It's Section 15B states that both parties agree to engage in a joint review at least annually and to discuss in good faith any revisions proposed during such review. So we've scheduled that joint review discussion with MNPD, and is it Starling that'll be joining this time,
Yes.
in addition to Green and Widener?
Yeah, I think Widener was out, and so
Okay.
it'll be Starling.
And that's to take place December 4th at 10 a.m. in the jury assembly room. And would love to hear from members if there are issues that you're aware of or need clarification on or would like to bring to our attention prior to the meeting. This will be a sit-down with a good faith discussion about where we can make improvements. I think we have made some improvements in the way things are working, and if you all are aware of anything we could bring to that meeting, please let me know ahead of time.
Do you anticipate that the board,
Get your butt-
the MOU committee members will be attending that?
We have not discussed who will be in attendance. Traditionally, part of them have been. Executive Director Fitchard and I go, along with last time, Drew Goddard joined us the last time we met jointly.
Yeah. And Alicia went when Drew wasn't at that meeting, was it? Yeah, he
I
was.
believe both of them
Yeah,
came
yeah,
to
yeah.
that was about the MOU with the DA.
Right.
Was a part of that meeting.
Yeah. And we
The
haven't
Rule
heard
16 agreement.
anything. Yeah.
Okay. Was those two board members, was they there for observation, just observing, or what?
Well, the reason Mr. Goddard was there last time was because he was a part of a series of conversations that took place, and we needed his recollection along with mine, which ended up being different than the recollections of Metro Nashville Police Department.
Okay.
And one of the things I wanted to add here is I have, with my staff members, taken this MOU agreement and went through it, for each paragraph and each, section to determine if there's some tweaking that needs to happen. And there is. It's just stuff that was overlooked. We've also worked this MOU agreement for about a year now, and we can, really determine where there's some areas for improvement. For instance, when I think about this shooting that happened, or any shooting in Nashville, and thank God we haven't had many compared to some of the other cities that we know for certain that there's a lot of police shootings. This one says in section 11, the Force Review Board, and it talks about the Force Review Board and us being a voting member of the Force Review Board. But it doesn't only, the Force Review Board is not strictly for shootings. It's also for any types of force. And so there's not anything in this particular section, as when I went back to review the previous one, that really, this one doesn't dictate, it doesn't have information in here on when they would notify us and all of these things of these force review meetings. Board meetings. And so I think that just, wordsmithing some of this is going to be helpful so that there is some clarity around that. So if there's a force review board happening, do I need to reach out to them? I don't know when those things are occurring, so I need them to make notification to me that this is coming up, and that's what they used to do previously. And so we just need to kind of get back to that. And then they asked for a caveat in here related to that if myself or if I'm not available, an assistant director attend the force review board meeting, then we would have to recuse ourselves from the case. So I think that's open for discussion. So it is. That's what's written in this MOU agreement.
On the factor of on the force, they had included before they changed over to the open hand strike or the fist strike as a force and to be documented.
Right, the soft empty hand control.
Right.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is to determine if a person has a habit of being brutal to people in the community. Mm-hmm. And there was also taking these manner incidents and submitting them to the chief of police and see if something can be done about it, whether more training or what have you. and depends on how often, how severe it was in some kind of disparate action.
Most of the time, these force review board meetings are for using your weapon, not, you know, in a way, it's mostly been for using your firearm, not necessarily soft hand empty control and things like that. And I don't think I've even had any for taser usage. This is mostly for using your firearm. Could be, but I haven't. I don't. Yeah, I never. Yeah, I could. You know, the ones that I've attended were all for some form of either pointing your weapon, shooting it, not pointing, but shooting your weapon at a dog, or shooting your weapon and you wasn't paying attention to who was beyond you, and those types of things. It hasn't been for just every other type of force on the continuum. So.
Well, that's something that need to be looked into. If
I mean I mean, as many cases that we have, they would have so many force review boards. They're not doing that for those. It's for more serious allegations of force.
I'm sorry, Heather, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I just have a couple questions. The most recent MOU, is that signed November of 2024? Is that the most recent? I want to make sure I have an updated copy.
Yes.
Okay. And then the second question is, as members of the MOU committee, Member Nguyen and myself, do we need to meet before this meeting to discuss? I'm reviewing the MOU and I have lots of notes and questions. So I'm wondering if we should try to have a committee meeting before the MMPD meeting, whether or not we're there as board members, but at least so we can field any questions from the board. I certainly have several.
So two things. Oh, you want to ask that?
Well, go ahead.
Well, the only thing I was going to say is, notably, we usually just have one board member, because when we have two board members, we have to make it a public meeting. All right. So going, you know, and so we have in the past made this a one-person committee member so that we don't have to have, and it becomes an open meeting. And so that's, you know, not that I'm opposed to it, I'm just saying that's what we have done historically, so that the negotiations, and people don't feel pressured in the negotiation process. So that's all I had to add.
And for clarification, you were talking about the actual joint review meeting that we'll conduct. One board member present at that. But to answer your question ahead of time, to address that would absolutely be welcome and helpful. To have more eyes looking at this, finding where we can improve or be more clear.
Wonderful. Yeah, I would love to schedule that, Member Nguyen, and I think it would be appropriate if you would like to attend, as the more senior member, and obviously with your background, if you would like to attend the MOU meeting. I mean, that's up to you, but I would be happy to have a MOU committee, and if anybody on the board had questions about the MOU beforehand.
We could all we could do two ways. I mean, we've done that before, and we did it at the libraries, and the whole committee showed up, and it was Mark Nguyen, it was Joe Brown, it was Drew Goddard, it was Alicia Haddock, myself. I think Sean showed up for one, and you were there for those, and so Nashville. I can set that up, and we can have that meeting in the middle of the day. We rent the space out. We book the space, and then we can go over all of the updates that I want to propose. And then, so the thing is, this meeting is December the 4th. Yeah. And so we have, hold on, let me pull this up. Yeah. And so if you guys can look at your calendars, I'm pretty flexible. And we usually did this around lunchtime. If we could do it earlier, we could, either way, I'm pretty flexible on my schedule. I know Mark travels, and so I know you're tied up a lot too, Heather. So just give us, as long as you're not in court.
I can make it work.
Okay. Look at some dates, and then we can make it work. Yeah.
Well, it's important that you do that, because...
And all of you are able to come to that, because it'll be an open meeting.
You know, you can kind of concentrate on what you need to focus on the most when you do go in the meeting with the police department. This is our target. That's what we need to focus on when we get there. In other words, you got your playing cards already available. What you're gonna do, and basically you be thinking alike of what you're gonna do. You know, so it sounds great, and hope that do well with that. Got a question? Board Member Cersei?
So since there'll be more than one of us in a meeting, you're going to have to publish notice for
That's
this
correct.
meeting.
I've always had to do that for the committee meeting. Yeah. And
Okay.
so, yeah.
Board Member Hilda?
I'm wondering if we should just go ahead and set that committee meeting now so that it's, and then you can publish notice for the MOU committee meeting?
Well, wait until tomorrow so I can find us a location.
Okay.
We have to have a location. So I'll check at, I mean, the East Nashville Library has a room. Is it a room? I don't know what it is. But anyway, that's where we've met before, and they have parking. And if not, because usually we try to do it at a library, it has to be a government building, so.
I'm talking about for a committee meeting, if it was just member Wynn and myself and whoever, we have to publish notice and have a,
Yes.
but you're having the budget, but you're having the other committee meeting. I know,
That's
but
right, and maybe we could still find date and time and then do location TBD.
my question is,
Okay.
wasn't there another meeting occurring at the office, at your office with these two individuals for a committee hearing? Or
Was
did I
that
get-
a committee?
was-
Both
did I
of
get
them are
that
coming?
confused?
That's why I just had Walter Cersei down. Oh, but if both of them come, then we have to publish it.
That's why I was confused.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you for saying that. So one of you can either, we have to publish it and do it at a different place, or one of you can have to not attend this time.
Well, I'll plan to come. In that way,
Then we can
you
forward
can
you the
give us a
information.
report on the hockey match.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, thanks for that, because I wasn't even thinking about that, yes.
It would be a bad idea if you had a date so they would know what
Go
their,
ahead and set your date, that's fine with me.
because finding a location, we have several places that we can, but they can set a date so they'll know what to do with their work schedule, you know?
Yeah. Not for a public meeting. Because it has to be a government meeting.
Including the Edgehill Library.
Okay, Edge Hill Library, okay. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, just to simplify it, those libraries are actually big enough, you can have maybe 2 meetings.
At once.
Yeah, they could separate out a little bit, because I know it's a pain sometime to get
Yeah.
government buildings, so might keep that in mind.
Yeah, we've had them at that. We just haven't used the Edge Hill, but yes, libraries work for us. The good thing about libraries is they're like, sometimes when we do them at rec centers and places like that, they have after-school programs and stuff like that, and they just don't have the space. So,
Well, as a matter of disclosure, I won't have to ride a bus.
Right,
If I
okay.
come to that meeting, so.
Right, we'll
That's,
do it.
that's why.
Okay, go ahead, Heather.
Sorry, I'm trying to use the paddle. Just to wrap that up, Member Wynn and I both do have a lot of scheduling and out-of-town travel, so we're going to send an email tomorrow on dates that
Okay.
would be available for both of us.
And remember, when we schedule that, you all are also available to attend. You can attend that too.
Okay, you've heard the MOU update. Do I get a motion to approve? Okay.
What are we approving? We don't need that.
The report on the MOU report. You don't need one on it?
No, I don't think we need one on that.
Okay. Let's go with the next item on page 61, complaint report update.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I wish I had more to report here. I will report a conversation that I had today with Director Dietz. I called about this and reminded Director Dietz that it would be helpful for our board to know something, because this has now been going on for, was it 18 months? 18 months now? June of last year. Director Dietz reports that he does know that interviews are complete, and October was spent per Ed Stanton's team doing interviews, which are now done, and they are drafting a final report. When asked when that would be published, he just does not know. And that is the only update I've been able to get. It appears that Butler Snow's team is not providing anything other than that. And if they have, I'm not privy to it. We could, if we wanted more information, we could issue a public records request for follow-up invoices. The only info we've ever gotten has been to the money that was spent and the time entries that were made by the firm, and that was actually quite more than we had before, which was exactly 0. So if we wanted to supplement that request for the dates since the last request up to the present, that's the only avenue I see to gain any more information.
Let's do that, because you're playing game with us, and stuff like that, and you're really not giving us what we really want. And so we want to stay on top of it, saying, then we made contact with you this month, we made contact 2 or 3 months later, and this is all you have delivered during that time. So let's do that.
And don't you think 18 months is a long time to just be wrapping up the interviews? Like, what have you been doing for all these many months? And how much is it costing the taxpayers? I mean, when we looked at it back in March, it was up until March, I think, it was already at almost $400,000.
And that was 8 months ago.
Yeah.
Well, the answers to what are you doing and how much does it cost, we can answer those with a public records request. Now, we won't know what day the report will be finished, but that's useful information, and happy to send a supplement.
Well, as looking at my mail, that's the reason why I was at Erica the Gilmore office this morning.
Those are those property taxes, right?
Yes, and we're the one, the taxpayer, the one going to have to pay for the bill. So we need some results. We need some concrete evidence. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm usually seeing Heather to my left, but all the board members to my right.
I just wanted to make a motion to allow Attorney Brazil to put in that records request for us.
All in favor, say aye. Anybody opposed? Pass. You opposed? We got one opposed. Okay, so the motion passes. Now, we have the NCRB reports on the closure cases. So whichever one you present to us first, that's the one we'll deal with.
With those consent closures, we just take a vote on those.
Okay.
Someone want to take a motion on those? Do you have any questions about them?
Do anybody have any question about the end of the consent goes? Okay, well,
I need to see which one. I've got notes on most all of them.
Okay, so we're talking about CC 2025-008.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about
The cases, no, we're talking about,
the
so
consent.
8, 26, and 46. Okay.
let's proceed with
You want to do a motion for those?
Get a motion to accept. Okay, the motion is to accept these closure. All in favor say aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, the motion passes.
All right, the next case is going to be presented by Dr. Risby.
Okay.
Good evening. I will be presenting Compliance Review Report, CC 2024-006. And the allegations of misconduct by NCRB are against Lieutenant Christopher Mason. And those policy violations are Code of Ethics and Maintenance and Security. And a summary of complaint allegations are as follows. On January 23rd of 2024, Mr. Dedrick Jones, hereinafter referred to as complainant, contacted the Nashville Community Review Board to file a complaint against MMPD Lieutenant Christopher Mason, hereinafter referred to as Lieutenant. Complainant alleged that on January 23rd of '04, he observed an MNPD officer driving an MNPD vehicle speeding approximately 90 miles per hour from Murfreesboro, Tennessee into Nashville at approximately 5 a.m. on I-24. Complainant further alleged that the officer weaved in and out of traffic without his emergency lights or siren activated. Complainant stated that he had a dash camera video of the incident. The officer's vehicle number was 9430BC. On January 25th of '04, NCRB completed a referral form which was sent to the Office of Professional Accountability, requesting that they investigate the alleged officer's misconduct. Specifically, NCRB requested that OPA investigate the allegations of the NPD Code of Ethics around maintenance and security. And the OPA investigation findings were as such: the complainant was referred to OPA on January 25th of '04 and was assigned to Sergeant Ted Woosley. OPA completed its investigation and it was received by NCRB on March 25th of '04. The complainant alleged that on January 23rd of '04, he observed a Metro Police vehicle traveling again approximately 90 miles per hour on Interstate 24 from Murfreesboro, Tennessee to Nashville. And he again provided the officer's vehicle number. As a part of this investigation, the track star was utilized and located the vehicle's lieutenant was operating, and the track star showed him traveling on Interstate 24 at speeds of up to 87 miles per hour from Murfreesboro to Nashville. Prior to the conclusion of the investigation, Lieutenant agreed to a pre-investigation settlement for the respective allegation of violation of the policy, and due to this, there will not be a recommendation sections as a part of the case summary. The complainant was advised that Lieutenant accepted the responsibility for his actions. Regarding the NCR review, not to be redundant, but basically after the review, I did confirm with the track star data and confirmed the date of the incident and confirmed that the officer was traveling at 87 miles per hour. Also confirmed that he was the driver of the identified vehicle. Also, the lieutenant's disciplinary file revealed that he was suspended for 20 working days without pay on June 1st of 2021 for deficient or inefficient performance of duties. Lieutenant was alleged to have participated in a road rage incident during that time. The AD reviewed denial letters from MNPD Records Department, and those denials were basically the body-worn camera footage, the CAD history report, incident report, affidavits, and recorded videos, and basically because those, they did not exist, and so that's why they were denied. The OPA conclusion is prior to the conclusion of the investigation, the lieutenant agreed to the pre-investigation settlement for the respective allegation. And as mentioned before, because of this agreement, there are no recommendations listed by OPA. The NCRB conclusion is that the assistant director reviewed the evidence related to the case and consulted with the executive director. And following the review, the executive director concludes that the OPA investigation is satisfactory. And there are no additional recommendations. And this concludes the report.
I did want to add, in this disciplinary file, because of this road rage incident that happened in 2021, there was a last chance agreement there. And because of that last chance agreement, I was kind of conflicted on why this case. I don't know if when you get a last chance agreement, it's not very clear to me, let me just say that, whether any incident of policy violation, then because well, let me say it like this. The last chance agreement, it was for 60 months from that date. And so it's not clear to me that there are certain criterias of policy violations that may not escalate up to you are breaching this contract. And so I think that we need some clarity around that, because if a last chance agreement was issued for a road rage incident, although this is not a road rage incident, it still is utilizing a vehicle in a way that is outside of what is legally responsible. And so I just wanted to make certain that we're being very clear and transparent with you, that there is, and you saw the last chance agreement. And so, you know, although we didn't make any recommendations, I think that the board has, I think that this is something that you guys can discuss, and then we can figure out what is our next, what move we should make next, and what we should take up for discussion.
Do we, is this supposed to be road rage? It's supposed to be on a Metro government vehicle?
It was in a Metro government vehicle.
You look at the liability that it could cause Metro government if something else had occurred or a major accident. Metro is very liable for a lawsuit, and it could cost millions of dollars. You know, he's lucky to have a job. Anybody have any question on that report? Board Member Cersei.
This Officer Mason is a lieutenant on the force, and you know he has a particular responsibility in leadership and setting an example for his charges. And you know, I find it, and notwithstanding the fact that road rage and speeding are not the same, they are certainly related enough to link them in our overall review. And you know, I am an employee rights guy, die in the wool, but I'm also hyper vigilant about excesses of management. This guy's a manager, and seems to me that he's really getting off. You know, he's getting off in a manner that, I mean, he should, and I realize that he did lose some pay in the first instance, but if he had a 60-month agreement, arguably he's in violation of that agreement. And so sending it back to OPA for them to reconsider their decision and include in that consideration an additional suspension and or reduction in rank. I don't see where this rises to the level of dismissal. But certainly he needs to get more punishment than he's received. That's where I am.
And just as a reminder, we can send it to OPA, but it's it goes up the chain of command who makes who is they have the final say on the discipline. So
we're talking about sending it to the chief or to the chief and the mayor? Is that
chief? And I mean, it can go to OPA as well, but I just want you to know that when they make their, like, whatever agreement they make, it still has to be approved, because usually they don't make any recommendations for discipline, as far as my knowledge is.
Board Member Brown, you have a question?
Well, I agree with thing that Member Cersei said, and the problem, I think, is our charter prohibits, and our attorney can advise of it, that we can't increase punishment. Now, whether we can recommend that the chief take a look at it and, 21 days for road rage is fairly significant punishment. And then being weaving apparently in and out of traffic while commuting from home to work in a metro car. I drive that road, so, and the punishment seems to me to be entirely inadequate, but I don't know, because of our charter, Frank, do you have a thought whether on that? Because we have no authority ourselves to increase punishment.
I do. We do not have authority to increase punishment, but I think it's an important distinction to, as Member Cersei described it, when we send it back, we request that they reconsider. And we can offer, to my mind, we can absolutely offer what we think would be appropriate. We're certainly not imposing it, but we're suggesting that, to our mind, especially with what's been put in place for this individual, this was not met by the punishment imposed.
I would move then that this be amended to be forwarded to the chief and others as required, but it has to go to the chief.
Before you had a motion, I think she had a statement she wanted to make.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I'm wondering if we can specifically ask, because the issue to me, what Director Fitchard hit on, is that there is a last chance agreement in place for, how long was it? 6 months. For 6 months. 5 years. 60 months. So this last chance agreement is still in place. So as a board, is it appropriate for us to then reach out and ask what constitutes a breach of a last chance agreement, and whether or not a traffic-related offense violates that agreement? I think we need a clear answer from MMPD on how is this not a violation of the last chance agreement related to the road rage.
As we see that and what's been presented, would it be improper for us to ask them to revisit this and for them to take a second look at it?
No, I don't believe it is. I think that would be right in line with our statutory duty. But what I do think would be improper is for us to suggest that they determine a more appropriate punishment is very different than adding a punishment to what they decided in their investigation. That's not what we're discussing doing. And I think it would be important for us to nail down why this didn't constitute a breach, because it's pretty obvious that they didn't treat this as a breach. And if so, I think Member Michelle's right. We need them to enumerate what is a breach, because if this isn't, that's concerning. So I think a request for more information and a suggestion that it be reviewed to determine a more adequate punishment is very different than imposing an additional punishment.
Exactly. Because you may have someone with rank that has a friendly relationship with rank and file, and they're in the good old boy system. And so we had to take care of my card playing or my golf playing buddy. I'm not saying that's the nature of it, but if you're in good standing with someone high rank, some things you can get done. It ain't what you know, it's who you know. And so I would like to see your question.
No, he has a motion.
Motion. Okay, your motion, Brown.
I move that we amend it to forward it to the chief with a recommendation that the OPA further explain why this was not a violation of the last chance agreement.
And that we suggest that a further review should be made of the punishment, of the lack of punishment being imposed. Yeah.
I'll include that in mine.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? So the motion carries.
Hey Siri, stop
Our
alarm.
last one, this is the last one? That's good. No, that's the last one right there. I think the mother was a closure we voted on. Do you have a problem with her reading the report on why y'all do that?
This is in relation to the last one. I was looking at the last chance agreement, just so that you all know, because it may determine whether or not we need to go back and change the motion. Here in the last chance agreement, it says, however, should a violation occur within the time frame governed by this agreement, which is determined to involve a knowing or intentional violation as defined in the manual, and which by its assigned or recommended sanction may be categorized as an F, E, or D, may be considered separately and as not as affecting the terms of this agreement. And so for this particular case, for this speeding, he received a written reprimand, which is a category E offense, okay, which would have been determined separately. That's why. So that's been addressed. So I think that you may have to amend your motion, since that is, I mean, to the point where the contract basically addresses that issue about the enumeration of what this means, right?
So instead of lack of punishment, we would just simply say that the punishment
It was not sufficient, yeah.
Well, and even to sharpen it further, our motion was twofold. We wanted an explanation about what would constitute a breach of a last chance agreement. This pretty well answers that, and F, E, or D is considered separately. So, but B still stands, and B is that we recommend that it be reviewed to determine a more appropriate punishment.
Okay, so that's what your
I'll
motion.
accept the amendment.
The amendment B only, the recommendation that we determine a more appropriate punishment.
And the second of the motion accepts it.
Okay, everybody in favor of the second of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Oh, okay, so it passes.
As
Thanks.
As
All right. Okay, now let me
the last case.
Okay, the last case. All right, this is case CC 2024-041. This is a case against Officer Frank Walker for deficient or inefficient performance of duties. On April 17th, the complainant, Mr. Ahmad Al-Hassan, reported that he observed 3 black males wearing ski masks attempting to steal his vehicle, which was parked near Old Smith Springs Road. He stated that upon realizing their intent, he went back inside his home to retrieve a firearm for self-defense. He further claimed that his presence in being armed with a gun caused the suspects to flee, but he saw them at his neighbor's property attempting a similar crime. He stated that he immediately called 911 to report the incident, and that no officers responded to his home or took any action regarding his complaint. He said he was frustrated by their lack of response, so he contacted the NCRB to file a formal complaint for what he believed was a lack of performance by the accused officer. I reviewed all the evidence in this case, and then I went over OPA's investigative report, and so the Sergeant Ted Woosley spoke to the complainant and talked about his concerns when he contacted the 911 operator. He said that he observed one of the individuals looking into his neighbor's house, and he said that he was getting ready for work. That's why he was up. This happened early in the morning. He called at 6:11 a.m. After he called the police, he went upstairs. He retrieved a gun, and then he said that he saw them trying to get into his neighbor's house. He said he left for work before the police arrived, and his father was home. And so he was very frustrated that no one showed up to his residence or discussed the incident with his father. On the report, the call taker at the 911 call center on that dispatch call during the review of the 911 recording, she asked the complainant if he wanted to speak to an officer, and the complainant never gave an answer, not really clear a yes or no, but instead he said, if you could get them out now because the individuals are still in the area. And so the call taker asked a few more questions, and then they concluded the call. And then that particular call taker put in the report as a no to the question of contact with the complainant. So that happened. And then also the complainant never said his address. He just said Old Smith Springs Road, but he lived on a cross street. And so they wouldn't have known to go to that cross street because he never mentioned his address. So unfortunately, when the officer arrived, of course, there was no one there because this happened really quickly. So the complainant called at 6:11. The call was dispatched at 6:35 a.m. The officer arrived at 6:41 a.m. I watched him drive through the dead end, the circle. It's like a little cul-de-sac thing. He went through there. There was no one out. There was no vehicles out. And so he concluded his call at 6:49 a.m. The use of TrackStar showed the officer's location during the call for service and revealed an accurate account of the officer's vehicle movement. And the officer's body-worn camera, I reviewed that, and his in-car camera, it showed him driving through the area. There wasn't any interaction with any citizens at that time. That information was also relayed to the complainant. So there was some communication errors, I think, but I just want to add this that I didn't add in the report is that we've seen multiple calls over the last, at least the 3 cases that I've done recently, where there's been a communication problem with the ECC operators. And so I am going to contact Mr. Martini, the director, so that there's just can be some clarification, like maybe ask an additional question, because as I said, this is a reoccurring issue that we've seen as we're presenting these cases. And so the recommendation from OPA has been, it was unfounded. My conclusion is that the OPA investigation was satisfactory, thorough, and complete. And so my recommendation is that the board send this to, accept the report, and that it goes to the chief of police and the mayor for approval. Or review, sorry. That concludes my case.
Okay, Board Member Cersei, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the report of the executive director.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye. Anybody opposed? Motion passes.
Now, point of privilege.
Point of privilege.
Yeah. I agree 100% with the issue of communication, but communication between the dispatch
Right.
and who
And the
he
complainant.
or she is supposed to. Well, not only the complainant, but who's she also communicating to the police,
Yes.
as, and informing them of what they're actually going to be investigating.
Correct.
So,
Yeah.
that really has to be tightened up, because if it breaks
Yes.
down there,
Right.
it just,
As
it's
I've
just
said,
crazy.
as I've said on multiple occasions, I appreciate that because I think that our 911 call center is the epicenter of everything. They are the ones who take in the calls and then dispatch that information to our officers. And so, whether it's a communication problem, whether it's a language barrier, whatever it is, it has to be fixed on that end, or, just check tacked on a little bit more. And so I will contact him and let him know.
I think it was on television
director.
a few weeks ago about the 911 center, some changes that need to be made and the problems they was having.
Oh, I mean, we do have a award-winning 911 call center. I just think that, when we're having these calls that come in and we're seeing a pattern, we just need to make certain that those things are being addressed.
Board Member Brown.
On the ones that we closed and
Yeah.
moved to do it, I didn't have the numbers on that, but I'm not proposing that we get into any change of it, but on
Which case?
on 26,
Okay.
that was the one where the lady was
Yes.
stopped as a suspect from running from
Yeah.
an accident, and I think the basis for closing it is that there's litigation involved, so there's a good reason to do it, but I'll have to say that when the exonerated bothered me, because it just simply says, under certain circumstances, the police are authorized to arrest. I've worked a lot of these over the years, and clearly I think they had a basis for what to call a Terry stop, but I have some real problems about cuffing and putting her in the car.
Yeah, I personally, and because this case is being litigated, I am going to kind of be careful with my words, but I believe that this case was concerning to me just as much as it was to you. And then what was also concerning was we couldn't get the records that we needed, once again, because of this Rule 16 issue that doesn't exist here. This was about this particular complainant, Ms. Palmer. Yes, it had nothing to do with the juvenile, who they still, like, what juvenile? And so, just this notion that anytime there's a child or a juvenile involved, that we can't get the records, when these records clearly have nothing to do with this woman who is saying that she was falsely arrested or detained. So I think that this is one of the same issues that continues to be a heartburn for us. I mean, seriously, that using this non-issue and making it a Rule 16 issue, a discovery issue, when she's not even arrested. I mean, in the sense that it's a crime that she's committed. It just is something that the MOU committee has to really, we have to figure out how we can get those records so that we can move further along in these cases, because it is reoccurring more often than it should.
This case you're talking about.
Thank you, Joe, for that. Member Brown.
This case you're talking about, you said on a litigation, but if they pursue it properly and got the right attorney, they're going to try to subpoena everything that contribute towards that case, and our area going to probably carry the most heavy weight on that situation. And then the police department going to look back to see where, if the law had changed, we would have had a better job in helping them analyze these cases, But since they got strict control on most of everything, they do as they please. But when they get in your pocket, that's what sometimes, people don't understand until you get in their pocket, and they have to pay out their money. And so if they have to pay out some money, it's deserving their fault. Board Member Brown.
My only really concern was exonerated, because I don't think we have a basis to say it's exonerated. I think we have to close it because of pending litigation. But I would move that we amend that, strike the exonerated and just close it because of pending litigation. Because
I don't think
they didn't even interview the police officer that actually stopped her and put her in the cuffed her and put her in the car.
Well, the exoneration, Member Brown, is what they sent over to us. That's their language. It's not ours.
Okay.
right? So when you see all of that information in the way that it's written, it probably, we maybe didn't have to add it to it like that. But that's what OPA
Okay.
has stated,
'Cause I
that
don't
it's not ours, because if you,
Yeah,
that's
I
under
just don't want it
OPA.
interpreted that,
Yeah.
that we as
I don't know
generated.
why all of that information is in this report, because I think I had, so let me do this, because that's information that shouldn't be in this report. I don't know why it's in here, because we had kind of, I must have sent the wrong copy, where I had shortened all of those information to, because it's a closure, and so some of that information doesn't need to be in here. So what I can do is send you the copy that, the corrected copy that has not included all of that information, all right? So that then when it's posted, then it just shows the closure information and not all the details like this.
I'll withdraw any motion to change it. I'll leave it to
Okay.
correction to take out the
Yeah.
surplus language.
We all clear on that? Anybody oppose that? Okay. Now, do I get a motion to adjourn?
So, wait a minute, what was the motion for this case for that 026 to, can I,
Just to clean up the language.
okay,
The
perfect.
exoneration.
Okay, perfect, okay.
Move adjournment.
All in favor, say aye. Anybody opposed?
What?
Thank you all for taking out your time and coming here and helping us with this board meeting, and the citizens in the community is proud of you for supporting. Thank you.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.